Hello everyone, this is Grade 3, Module 5, Lesson 26 homework. The directions state, partition the number line to show the fractional units. Then draw number bonds with copies of one whole for the circled whole numbers. So my number line is units of sixth. So between each whole number I have to partition that whole into 6 pieces. So now I can start labeling this in, and it'll probably help out a little bit more if I do that. So at 0, I know that 0 sixth. Next I'll have 1 sixth, 2 sixths, 3 sixths, 4 sixths, 5 sixths. 1 is going to be 6 out of 6. Then I have 7 sixths, 8 sixths, 9 sixths, 10 sixths, 11 sixths, and 2 is 12 sixths. So now I can fill in each of these for the whole number. So at 0, I have 0 sixths, and it looks like the fraction 0 over 6, or 0 sixths. For one whole, I know that in order for it to be whole, if I have 6 as my units, or sixths, I need 6 of them filled. So it's going to be a fraction of 6 out of 6. And the way I'll draw my number bond is my one whole is equivalent to a 6 out of 6. So for 2, the number bond is already done for us. And it's showing 6 over 6, which equals one whole. And another 6 over 6, which equals one whole. So that's how we get our 2, which means there's 12 sixths. So every time we add a 6 sixth, we're getting a one whole. So let's take a look down at number 2, or the second one, sorry, not number 2. And this one's talking about fifths. And the first thing I need to know is one whole equals 5 over 5, or 5 fifths. Because if I'm talking about fifths, 5 of them will make the whole amount. So between each whole number, between 2 and 3, I'm going to break this into 5 parts. And then between 3 and 4, another 5. Because we're talking about fifths, meaning between each whole number, we're going to break that whole number into 5 equal pieces. So if one whole is 5 fifths, and I'll start right in with my number bond, it'll be easier, that equals 1. I need to have 2, so I know that I need to have another 5 fifths, because that's equivalent to 1. So I have 2 one wholes, and if I add those together, I know that I have 10 fifths. And it's going to look like 10 over 5 is a fraction, or 10 fifths. So my one whole is 5 fifths. I'm going to start at 2 right now, which is 10 fifths, and I'm going to count up 11 fifths, 12 fifths, 13 fifths, 14 fifths, 15 fifths, and I would continue on. You get a little sloppy in there. That one goes with that. So, if I take a look at 3, I have 15 fifths, or 15 over 5, which is 15 fifths. And now, again, a 5 over 5 is equivalent to 1. So there's 1. Another 5 over 5 gets me 2. And a third 5 over 5 gets me 3. And I'll do the same thing for 4. I'm looking at 4, and I have 20 fifths. And it's 20 over 5, or 20 fifths as a fraction. And then I got to do 4 of these. And each one is going to be a 5 over 5, or a 5 fifths, because that's what we're talking about in terms of our units for one whole. Because the numerator and the denominator are the same number, that I know that it's one whole. Let's take a look at page 2 real quick. And on page 2, it says write the fractions that name the whole numbers for each fractional unit. The first one has been done for you. So in terms of thirds, we see that at 2, it's 6 thirds, or 6 over 3, because we have a 3 thirds for a one whole and then another 3 thirds for a second one. So if we put those together, we're going to get a 6 thirds. We're adding another 3 thirds to get to this one to get to 9 thirds, and so on. So for sevenths, and I'm going to label these 2, 3, and 4. And I'm actually going to put a 1 here to help myself out. I know at 1 it's 3 thirds. I know at 1 for 7, or sevenths, it's 7 over 7. So if I add another 7 over 7, that's going to get me 14 sevenths. And I know we're not adding fractions here, but I know this is worth 1 and this is worth 1. So if I put them together, and I know my units are still sevenths, they're not changing, but I'm adding the 2 sevens together to get my 14 sevenths. And then I just do another third. So if I need to break this apart, I can using a number line, but I know that if I add another 7 to that, it's another whole, because that's my units. Another 7 onto 21 is 28. And what are my units? Sevenths. So now, for the next one, you'll be looking at eighths, and then the last one, you'll be looking at tenths. So just for reference, 1 whole is 8 over 8 here for eighths, and 1 whole for tenths is 10 over 10. Now let's take a quick look at 3. Ryder dribbles the ball down 1/3 of the basketball court on the first day of practice. Each day after that, he dribbles 1/3 of the way more than he did the day before. Draw a number line to represent the court. Partition the number line to represent how far Ryder dribbles on day 1, day 2, and day 3 of practice. What fraction does he dribble on day 3? So I'm going to get my number line drawn. And I know our starting point is 0. And we're talking about a 1 hole, because that's the length of the court. The whole length of the court. So this is one end of the court at 0. This is the other end. The first day, he dribbled down 1/3. So that's day 1. Each day after that, he dribbles 1/3 of the way more. So if I start at 0, I got to go another third, which is actually 2 thirds. So that's day 2. And then the next day, he went 1/3 past that. And that's day 3. So the question says, what fraction of the way does he dribble on day 3? He dribbles 3/3 of the court. Or the whole length, because 3/3 is equivalent to 1 whole. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your homework.